Hi, welcome everybody for third day breathing practice. Let's just start out warming up, practicing. Again, sit at the edge of your chair if you can, or sit back. Get your weight onto the sit bones and adjust your pelvis so that the lower back is more or less straight. Right? It's not curved down, and it's also, if you turn too far forward, you get an arch in your lower back. Our object is to have the lower back basically flat so your spine stays straight. Right? Open up the midriff, tuck the chin, lift the head. Open up the armpits. You could put your hands on your thighs or on your knees. You can also cross your hands in front of you, palm over palm or palms together. Whatever posture is comfortable. But if you have your hands here, make sure there's a little bit of space in your armpits so they're not squeezed closed. There's that open space. And then breathe. Get your diaphragm moving. You can put your hands there if you want. And try to get that movement to become smooth and even and continuous. Get your belly moving. If it helps to feel, you can put your hands on your belly. Try to have more or less a natural breath, but you're trying to get a smooth, even, continuous breath, and your breath wants to gently start to slow down a little bit, right? So that the inhale and the exhale become smooth. And over time, the breath starts to become a little bit longer. Now, while you're breathing, I'll just talk a little bit about the breathing. If you notice, like I said before, that the breath, it's like your air coming in and out is important, but then also creating this rhythm of the belly going down, getting the guts to move, all of that stuff in there that gets stuck, right, will adversely affect the health. And getting everything in there moving, right, so that it has that fluid ability to move around, right? If you think about your organs, they start to get stuck and held in position and don't move very well, that will adversely affect the health, right? So getting that area moving is important. And then getting that smooth evenness to the breath. That does wonders for getting the nervous system to start to slow down and the whole body to relax. Right? And you can think about that in terms of your long-term health, but you can also think a little bit about in terms of using your breath, right, in terms of emotions. Right? If you think about what happens when you get really angry, what happens when you get really sad, what happens when you get into a confrontation. If you watch your breath at those times, or if you watch someone who's going into panic, right, or having kind of a strong emotion, what happens to their breath, right? Depending on what emotion, the breath sort of takes on a different pattern. It either gets really fast, right, or it becomes irregular in one way or the other. And getting this ability to get your breath to go into this smooth, even rhythm helps to get your nervous system, to get your emotions to become more stable and more smooth. Just like your breath becomes more smooth, that's also smoothing out your nervous system, and it's smoothing out your emotions, right? And if you practice this and get the ability to, when you want to, sit and get your breath going to that smooth, then you can use that, right? If you end up having a fight with someone, or you're, at work and having a confrontation with a boss or something like that, right? If you notice, your breathing starts to go erratic, or your emotions start to go erratic, if you let your breath become smooth and even, very often that can just calm you down, right? And create that more relaxed tone. So that becomes very useful, this breathing, right? And if you practice it just in regular periods, then it's something that you can use later on when need be. And over time, just this continuity of practicing, getting that smoothness. Let's add the sides. So the belly, also do the sides. But over time, getting that continuity of practice, getting that nervous system to smooth out over time, it'll have an effect on your general health and your general demeanor in a lot of ways. Just this breathing practice, like I said the first day, even if you don't do any of the other Qigong practices, right, just knowing this breathing practice is very useful for your health, very useful for your life, right? And hopefully you'll find as you practice, even if we're just sitting here for a few minutes, that it kind of calms and helps calm and center you. So get the front of the belly moving, and then the sides also. And if you can, do the front and sides together. If you find when you're doing the sides, right, you're trying to get them to move, trying to get them to be even, and you're using a lot of force in the breath, right, maybe that helps open up the area a little bit, but then you always want to go back to letting the breath get soft. Find that sense of the natural rhythm of the breath. And by putting your mind inside your body, feeling what's tight, what isn't moving with the breath, and letting it soften and release so that it can move with the rest of the breath, you'll find that your breathing starts to get stronger on its own without having to use force. Okay, let's take a break for a second. We've been breathing for about 10 minutes, so just take it easy. I'm going to need anybody who wants to come up on stage. Hopefully someone with a light colored shirt, makes it easier to see. But anybody who's willing to come on stage. Thanks, Cameron. I'm going to pull a chair over. What? Okay. Gotcha. I'm going to have you sit. I'm going to have have you sit facing this way,
Okay.
if you can.
With my
Just
face
straddle the chair, yeah, if you can, that's great. So we'll get to Cameron in a second, but we're going to continue a little bit with posture and then also talk about the next phase of breathing. The one thing we've talked about a little bit, this lower back, finding the sit bones and having your weight fall on your sit bones, right? You want to make sure that you're not rolled the pelvis back so that you get in this slouching position and you end up sitting on the back. A lot of people over time, their chest collapses and they end up slouching. You don't want that. But you also, as you rotate your pelvis and get your weight onto your sit bones, you also don't want to rotate it too much where now you have this big arch in the lower back. You're going to try to find that right place where your weight is on the sit bones and then your spine is basically straight on the bottom, right? So you're not turning too far one way or too far the other, and then you're finding that place where hopefully if you don't have too soft a chair, you can sit on the edge, you have that sense of sitting on the sit bones, and then the lower back straight, and then the posture also. You're getting this area in the midriff to open and lift up a little bit so that this will get your spine to start to elongate. And his head position is really quite good, right? But you're trying to get then also this head from the top of the head, have a sense of lifting up a little bit so that you have this spine holding your body up, right? Lifting. And that allows then the front of the body, the chest, and everything to sink down, to drop into the belly, to fall down, right? So if you're lifting too much, right, your chest lifts. But in any case, just adding this lower part of the spine, the main thing is to get the spine straight, right? That's going to help with the part that we're going to do next, because we've done the front and the sides, but now this lower part of the back here, right? You want this, as your diaphragm goes down, it's coming through the whole of the body, and you want that whole area to fill up, which includes here. So we're going to do, again, with a partner, right? You're going to put your hands on somebody's back, right? And again, feel and have a sense of penetrating a little bit. So you're feeling their body. And your hands there, one, you're going to be able to feel what they're doing, but then that person is going to have something to feel against. And then Cameron's going to try to breathe, and as he's breathing, he's going to try to feel that his breath is moving towards my hands, right? And this area then wants to start having some movement. Now clearly, the belly is much more flexible. There can be much larger movement in there, but you want to feel something here and some sense of the pressure from the downward movement of the diaphragm and everything in the belly expanding to go into the back. So having your hands there, I can feel. Good. So it's hard to see from the outside, but I can feel movement, and it feels steady, which is good. And one thing that just like on the sides, you'll notice, and I notice, this side the breath is coming more fully into this side of the body. So what I'm going to do, tap gently, right? Bring his focus there, waken up the nerves, right? You don't have to do anything too hard, but that light tapping, you can also just jiggle the tissue a little bit and then go back. And that's going to let him know also, oh, I need to get a little more into this part of the body. And then he's going to breathe and try to focus a little more to even out the breath. All right, that's a little better. Filling up and going in. So I feel good, steady movement, which is great. And the other thing that I notice about his breath, which is also good, and if you're working with someone, you can tell them, right, there's a smooth evenness, which is just what we want, right, rather than pushing or some kind of erratic, right? You're looking for that smooth evenness. So anyway, you don't have to sit backwards in the chair just so that everybody can see his back, but thanks. And now I'm going to do the same thing. He's going to put his hands on my back, and maybe I'll take this top shirt off so it's a little easier to see maybe. No. So again, now Cameron will demonstrate, and he's just going to try to put his hands flat on my back. And you're going to try to use the whole surface of your hand, because rather than the fingertips like he's doing, I'm going to sit back a little bit and then fill up that area. You have to be sensitive with your hands so you can feel, but also put a little bit of pressure, and you're doing fine, but put a little bit of pressure so that I can feel that in my body, and again, I can breathe towards his hands. Right, so that if he's tapping, that's telling me, oh, that maybe that area of the breath isn't going in there as well. So now I'm going to try to focus on that side of the body. So anyway, I hope you get the idea of what you're going to try to do. So again, you're going to get with a partner, and you're going to try. I know for some people, maybe, oh, you can do this no problem. For some people, it's like, breathe into your back. That sounds weird. But just try it, and the more relaxed you can get your body, and then also what I was showing before with the Cameron sitting, if you have your back tilted where too much like this, these muscles get very tight. So you're going to have to roll that pelvis so your sit bones are sitting on the chair, and this area is open enough so that you can get the breath into that area. So some of the breathing is going to be relying on letting the muscles on the outside relax enough. But then, of course, ultimately the breath is coming more from the inside of the body and moving out. So try that, get with a partner, and try that. Right? If you don't feel like working with a partner, you can do this on your own. And for people at home, so keep quiet in the room for a second. Hello? Yeah, keep quiet in the room. Whisper, because I'm going to keep talking. Right. If you want to work on your own, you can take your hands, right? It's a little bit awkward to turn your palms towards your body, although you could. But you can also turn the hands backwards very easily and have the back of your hands on the lower part of your back. And then you can feel. And if you want, you can just touch them lightly. You can also let your hands penetrate in a little bit so they have a sense of still staying soft, but going a little bit deeper in the body. So anyway, whether you're working with a partner or at home, sit, put your hands on your back. Your hands on your back can feel the breath. You can also feel what the lower part, the posture in the lower part of your body. You can feel if you're slumped. You can feel if you're rolled too far forward, and then you feel the curve in the lower back. So get into a posture where your back's more or less straight. And try to breathe into the back. Now, like I said, you may not feel a huge amount of movement like you do in the front. After practicing for a couple days, the belly can really move. That tissue is soft. But you're looking for less movement in the back, but trying to feel something. So breathe. Try to notice, is it equal, balanced on both sides? And especially with the back, right? Once you get a little bit of movement, do less. Try to soften whatever you're feeling. So whatever's stuck and not moving, you're letting it release and letting the breath, the movement inside, fill up that area and release. So especially with the back, you don't want to use force. Once you have some movement, try to make that movement smooth and continuous and even. If you're at home or in the room, just keep breathing. I may have overlooked something in the beginning. I'm just realizing I didn't say, while you're doing any of this breathing, you're breathing through your nose. Your tongue wants to be touching the roof of your mouth. This is an important thing in Chinese medicine, the Chinese anatomy system, energetic anatomy system, that there is a circuit that connects the energy going up the body and energy going down the body that passes through that area. And if you put your tongue on the roof of the mouth, it just completes that circuit. So you don't have to think about it too much. But if you let the tongue lightly touch the roof of your mouth, keep your mouth closed, and then if you can, have your breath coming through your nose. And then while you're doing the front, the sides, or in this case, we're focusing on the breath, on the breathing, opening up the tissue in the back. That's how you're breathing. For the people in the room, if you haven't switched partners, you should think about doing that soon so you both get a chance to feel and both get a chance to breathe. Now for everyone, we've been actively trying to get that area in the back to fill and come back in. Still feeling your back every once in a while. So for now, you're actively trying to get that area to expand. Every once in a while, just let go. Let your breath continue, but without trying to push it in the back. And notice, do you still feel that area expanding, which you've opened it up? But you kind of just go to a neutral breath. And you can go back and forth that way, putting a light little bit of effort into making it happen, and then just basically doing nothing and letting the breath work on its own. Now for the people in the room, and also the people at home, but for the people in the room, just keep doing what you're doing, but look at me for a second, right? Keep breathing. But I've noticed some people are standing there, some people are slumping a little bit. I also see some people lilting to one side. And if you're with a partner, in addition to feeling their back, make sure that their midriff is raised. They may not need to, maybe they're straight up and down. Make sure their head is straight, their head is lifted. Notice as you make any postural adjustment, you're looking to have that postural adjustment make your breath fuller. Breathe. Now let's all just take a break for a second. Relax. Let go and just try to keep, especially if you've found that you've been able through this breathing to sort of calm down the nervous system, right? When we relax, just let your nervous system stay relaxed. Sometimes people, they relax and then it's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. They start talking and their energy rises and their nervous system becomes erratic again. One of the things that you're trying to do with the breathing, calm down your system, right? So notice, so when you take practice for a while, and when you stop, just notice. Notice the tenor, notice the state of your nervous system, and try to keep relaxed during this break. While we're having a little break, first of all I don't know if someone, oh, there's one up here. I'm gonna need a yoga mat in a second, but I can grab that one. But if there's any questions anyone has in the room, I'm not sure if we can get online questions or not, but if there's any questions in the room while you're relaxing, feel free to ask. I'm just going to grab this mat. Is that position okay, James? Okay. Now, we're mostly doing the sitting, but you can also do this breathing practice laying down. I'm not going to get into too many details about, there's a bunch of different laying down postures and things that you can do for meditation or laying down Qigong, but just in terms of breathing, there's something that's really useful. One, because you can practice breathing when you wake up in the morning in bed or when you're tired. I don't feel like sitting, right? It's useful to be able to lay down. And it's also useful when we start getting to this area of the back, right, to feel. And you can lay down in such a way that your back is flat against the floor. And you can feel, because the floor is pressing against it, you can feel the breathing in your back more easily that way, rather than having to have your hands behind you, right? And there's a very simple posture that you can do, which is basically laying down. I'll demonstrate it for a second. Which is basically laying down. But instead of having your feet straight out, if you put your feet straight out, it's a little hard to see here, but the lower back gets curved and lifted off the floor. And if you very simply pick your knees up, put your feet flat on the floor, and then again, your head not rolled back, but headed that way a little bit, and your body open. This lower part of the back, by bringing your knees up, becomes flat on the floor. And you can adjust your pelvis till you feel that your back is flat on the floor. And then when you breathe, you can feel your lower back pressing against something. If you put your hands here, you could also feel it against your hands, but you can just use the floor to breathe. So if you're just focusing on the back, that's a useful way to lay down. But also now, we've done 3 parts of the body: the back, the sides, the front. We've also gotten that focused a little on that area of diaphragm, right? You can practice each of those parts separately, but what we're really looking for in the end is that all 3 of those parts to be activated. And what you're looking for, so you think, right, all around the body, that all of that area is moving together. So not the belly goes out and then the back goes out and then the sides go out, but all three of those areas expand at one time and then come back in at one time. Right? So it's useful, right? You could maybe have three or four people put their hands all around the body, but you can do this by yourself laying down. You can feel your back because it's against the floor. And then you can put one hand on the belly, one hand on the sides. You can put your elbows against your body a little bit, but you can find a way then to try to notice more than one part of your body at once. And if you can feel those parts of your body, you can notice, right? Oh, the belly's moving forward, but not the sides. Or the belly and the sides are going together. Right? And so you're going to take some time in your practice now to try to get all of those pieces happen at the same time. Of course, you can do the sitting. You're going to try to do it sitting. But if you have a mat, if you want to lay down, right? We have some mats here, right? So you don't have to lay flat on the floor. I think there's some mats in the back, right? If you want, and at home, this is one way you can practice, right? You can put your hand on your belly, right? You can feel your sides, you can feel your belly, and because the back's on the floor, you can feel it. So, anyway, I'm going to sit in the chair and practice, but let's try to do this. You're welcome to sit in the chair if you want. The other thing you can do, instead of sitting on the edge of the chair, if you have a chair with a flat back, you can have your back against the chair so that you can feel the back breathing as well. We'll get more into posture and sitting in a chair this way another time. But for now, however you're sitting, all right, we're going to now try to get all the parts of the lower body, the lower torso, the belly, the sides, and the back to all breathe in unison, all filling up at the same time. They're filling up at the same time, and you're also going to look for a sense of uniformity, a sense of evenness between all three of those. So let's just breathe now. Excuse me. Inhale, exhale. It makes it easier to feel. You can close your eyes. You can also breathe and have your eyes open. If your eyes are open, relax your eyes. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Get that smooth, even rhythm. Relax your eyes. Relax your whole body. Relax your mind, your awareness. If you notice that you have kind of intensity to what you're doing, to your focus, relax that focus. After you've been sitting for a bit and breathing, notice if your body's starting to collapse. Open up the midriff, get a little more space inside. Tuck the chin. Very lightly. Pluck up, lift the head. Relax the diaphragm. Get that smooth, even motion in the diaphragm. And the belly. Notice all parts of the belly, the top, the middle, the bottom. Everywhere in the front of the belly, notice what's moving and what's not moving. And then the sides of the body. And then the lower back. And stop pushing, stop using any force, stop trying to do anything. And just feel your body. Let your breath become completely natural. And notice the tenor of your nervous system. Now, especially if you have a feeling that things have gone smooth and even in your nervous system. We're going to take a break, the end of the breathing class for the morning, but try to carry that with you at least for the next few minutes when you get up, do whatever you're doing. If you've noticed, oh, I've calmed down, my nervous system has gone smooth, then just try to maintain that. And we'll see you back here in 45 minutes for the foundational Qigong class. Thank you, everybody.